Well, hello, ladies, and welcome back to the podcast, The Us Agency. I am your host, Grace Mate. And if you've had a chance to listen or watch any of our podcasts, then you know that we are committed to helping women build, renew, restructure, and unshakable, unquestionable, unprecedented belief system. Not unprecedented necessarily for the world, but unprecedented for you. Because up until this point, you have yet to experience the belief, the confidence that you so desire to have, and that we know that is required for you to accomplish the big goals, for you to have the indelible footprint in your legacy, so that when your descendants get to hear your name, they are acquainted with a woman having unquestionable belief system. Because we know that if you're not certain about who you are and the things that you believe, it has a trickle effect of how it's going to regulate your heart. And what I've been saying is what you think in your mind is going to regulate your heart, good or bad, and it is going to make the determination of what you are holding in your hand. So today, get ready for this belief reconstruction. This is an opportunity for you to calm down your uncertainty, but to build up your courage, build up what you believe is possible while dismantling the unbelief that keeps whispering to you that that's impossible. No one is going to listen to you. You need more time. You're not good enough, and they won't believe you. And the law of the most recent seems to be the thing where you land on when you're trying to resolve, when you're trying to problem solve, when you're trying to make a decision. They won't believe you, and somehow you begin to posture there, and that's what begins to ruminate in your mind throughout the day, and sometimes into the following week, to the degree that the things that you know that you should do, that you must do, that are required for you to accomplish the goals that you desire, so that you can put a stake in the ground, so that you can have that indelible footprint in the earth, so your descendants get to know you as a woman who had unshakable, unquestionable belief system. I like teaching from the perspective, show me how, and how I use that is through hinds feet instruction. And why I use that is, it is a reference to the deer's gait. If you've ever paid any attention to a deer, the unique thing about them is, and it may be true about other animals as well, but specifically for the deer, wherever the deer's front feet land, their rear feet follow, not an inch off, exactly in the same tread where their front feet landed. And so for a lot of you, you need someone to walk alongside you. You need someone to disciple you, to get you to have the courage to even begin the work for you having an unshakable belief system, that you can begin tracking the mountain so that you can speak from the mountain. And the mountain really is that really big, audacious goal that seems so impossible that you've let the idea of the impossibility stop you. Even if you're unsure, even if you are skeptical, here are a few tips that you can use to help you reconstruct your belief system. So one of the first things that I see is we try to fix the problem before discovering the first seed of the problem. So we fail to discover the first seed of the problem. This question is talking about the onset of pervasive unbelief in self. When did it start? Can you go back in your memory and determine where that shift was, where you crossed that line? I imagine, like me, there was a season in your life And most of everyone has this. Somewhere around the age of 8 through 10, your heroism begins to diminish. And most of it is not by your will, but it is because of the influence of those who mean well. And a lot of times, those are people who have influence in your life. Your parents, your educators, are those people who your family trusts to be part of your ecosystem. So you first have to discover the first seed of the problem. And one of the other things that I've seen that is really common with us is that the thing that ruminates the most in our mind, in this case, unbelief, we will establish it as a truth. I want you to rethink about that. So your unbelief is really an unfinished and unresolved task that has not been nurtured enough. And because a lack of all three, it has led into the progression of unbelief. But that unbelief is going to be changed and challenged today. I believe we struggle with unbelief because there is probably an unidentified season in your life when you started becoming the person the world said you should become. You lost your heroism. You lost those Wonder Woman, NASA engineer, President of the United States of America. You begin to lose all of those things. That you're going to be the CEO of a corporation. You're going to open schools in your community. You're going to be the top philanthropist in your area. All of those things that you were not yet capable of doing, yet you had such excitement, such joy. And I call it a great expectations, because the great expectations that you set in your mind, it will regulate in your heart. And those great expectations are going to help you manifest the high level of favor in your hand. Stepping into the realm of unquestionable belief infrastructure is going to cause you to live in the land of the unfamiliar. And I understand that walking in the land of the unfamiliar may create some hesitation. And so, because you have lived in unbelief, you've thought unbelief for so long, that's who you have identified with. And so the purpose, the goals of these podcasts is to help you step back into your authentic self. Because I truly believe that before you were born, before you were in your mother's womb, God had an original birth plan for you. And that is the birth plan that you should be seeking to occupy. Being in unbelief is serving some purpose, some capacity in our everyday life. I imagine that even though you have experienced unbelief, I believe that there have been seasons in your life where you felt like you could dominate unbelief. But because unbelief has allowed you to be in the land of mediocrity so long, you have convinced yourself that the work that is going to take for you to move out of average, to close the excellent gap, it's much more harder than it is for you to stay where you are in comfortability. So your unbelief doesn't necessarily have to suggest that you lack the intellect. As a matter of fact, what I have discovered, that you can be the smartest woman in the room. You can be the woman that has the most beautiful cadence. You can be the woman that seemingly has the highest confidence. And yet you can still suffer from unbelief. The fear of the impossible and unbelief often creeps in when the mission requires us to leave our zone of high competency. You making a decision to have the confrontation with unbelief is going to help you embrace the valley of the unknown. By confronting the valley of the unknown, of the impossible, you are actually no longer going to make excuses to stay in your high agency zone of comfort. You're no longer going to have to renegotiate the scope of God's command to fit your current comfort level. Through your courage, you are going to create your own advantage by clearing the forest for a new belief system structured and calculated by you. So, the most important person in this belief infrastructure is you. You are the who. So, there are three quick areas in section 2 I want us to explore. I want us to look at the unfinished territory. And the unfinished territory represents a major assignment that was given to you, that was offered to you, but you rejected it. Or it is a current assignment that has been given to you, and you, the who, has been procrastinating. That is the first thing that I want you to think about. What is the unfinished territory that you want to tackle first? The second thing is I want you to figure out where have you been compromising in your belief system. And it could be something directly related to the unfinished territory. But I want you to be specific. I want you to figure out where you have decided to coexist. I want you to think about something that's probably your opponent, your adversary. It could be an objection that you faced. I want you to figure out where you have decided to not confront this thing, that you have been settling in compromise, that it is allowing you to dig the tracks deeper in unbelief. Because when you stop compromising, you will learn to prioritize blank over unbelief. So I want you to fill in the blank there. I now make the decision. And when we make a decision, DECID, the CID means to kill off. When you make a decision, you then kill off all other options. So I want you to figure out and decide that you are prioritizing blank over unbelief. And the third one is knowledge intimidation. I want you to figure out where the fear of the unknown, the impossible, is causing you to not take the action. And one of the reasons you are not taking the action because you've allowed fear, unbelief, the idea that it's impossible, the idea that it is too grand for you to accomplish, even the lack of faith. You are measuring it up against a seemingly superior person who has more knowledge than you. Because I want to help you have the courage, have the bravery, have the decision-making authority and power that you don't even consider that the thing that you are believing for, it is not even an option, that it is not going to come to pass, because your thoughts are going to rule what you materialize in your heart, so that it scales all the way down so that you have it in your hand. I hope that helped you today. Thank you so much for listening, and let us know in the comment what one thing that you liked about this episode. And we hope that we can serve you better and bring more richer, more relevant, more life-changing information to you, so that you and I will have and maintain an unshakable belief system. I'm your host, Grace Matei, and thank you so much for listening.